How's it going today, everyone? This is Michael out in Maui. Aloha. So today, I thought I would talk about what is like the most important thing to think about when throwing the disc. Kind of like the primary thought compared to secondary thought. To me, a lot of the secondary movements are the stuff that just need to happen, and they just kind of happen from practicing. Like, you can't control it when you're running up. You already have to have it. Like, you know, the X step, coming out of the X step, you know, all that is natural. That's going to happen just from you practicing. So when I'm thinking of like running up, I don't put a lot of thought in it because it's just there. So, you know, when I come out of the X step, you know, my feet will land perpendicular, you know, to the throw. You know, I have the bend in my legs, you know, angle on my hips. So to me, that's all secondary. This is stuff I can't control during the actual throw because the throw happens too fast, so you can't put all this stuff into your throw. You can't be thinking of your legs, your feet, you know, your hips. You know, so this is like a secondary thought. It just has to happen. So coming out of your X step into your stance, don't pay a lot of attention to when making the throw. So when you're releasing the disc, you know, from the pull through, that kind of happens so fast, you're not going to change anything from here to here. I mean, when you got your disc on the reach back, and when that comes through, you're not going to be able to change any of this because it's too fast. You know, like your wrist needs to be down just from the grip from the very beginning of the X step. You know, from the very beginning of the X step, you know, your grip has to be good. You know, your wrist has to be down. You can't correct any of those when the throw starts. And when you pull through, you know, that just has to be there. You know, you can't think about it. It's too fast. So the one thing that you have control over, and you kind of got to put most of your thought into, is the angle you're going to hold the disc on your reach back to the throw that you're going to release it on. I think a lot of times people don't really pay attention to what they're doing on the reach back, and you know, they're not really thinking, like, the reach back is your release. When you reach back, that's how I'm going to release the disc. So that's your primary thought, needs to be back here on your reach back, because that's the slowest part of the technical part of the throw, and it gives your brain time. You can think of it. You can think of this. Can't think of that. It's too fast. So what am I talking about? Okay, so when you're throwing the disc, you have to decide what you're throwing. So if I'm standing on the pad, I'm going to throw a hyzer. Hyzer comes out low, outside edge, spikes in. Okay, so I have the throw that I'm going to throw. Well, when I reach back, when I'm coming in out of my X step, you know, I'm right here, and I got my reach back just before my step out. So I reach back. That hyzer that I'm going to release the disc on, I have to have it on a hyzer on my reach back. So a hyzer releases with the front low. So when I take the disc back, it's going to be on the high side of the release. So when I reach back, I need to have my disc on the hyzer here, because once I plant this front leg, about 2 seconds later, the disc is going to be flying through the air. You're not going to be able to reach back flat and then try to recrank it to a hyzer on the release. So your thought, when you're reaching back, you reach back on a hyzer and you lock it in. You know, don't let it come out. You know, when you reach back, you lock it in on a hyzer. Now, when that front leg hits the ground and you rotate through, it's on the hyzer on the release. Same thing with like a anhyzer. If you're going to throw an anhyzer, you're going to throw the disc so it turns to the right, high on this outside edge. Because I'm going to come through like this. Well, when I reach back, I'm not going to reach back flat. I'm not going to reach back like this, and then I'm going to try to, you know, turn my disc on the release afterwards. I'm not going to go here and over. Like I said, it happens too fast. You don't have time to manipulate that disc. So an anhyzer is released high on this outside edge. So on a reach back, it's the opposite. It's low. So when I come back for my anhyzer, I'm going to reach back, but I'm going to reach back on an anhyzer, low on this outside edge. So now I can just pull the disc through and it's going to release on an anhyzer. So my concentration on the throw, I need to lock in what I'm throwing on my reach back. And same thing for a flat throw. You know, if you're going to just throw it completely flat, you know, I don't want to reach back on an anhyzer or a hyzer. You know, I want to reach back flat, and I lock my grip in flat. And then I pull through and I got a flat shot. So, you know, so when you're making your throw, you really got to pay attention to what you're doing on your reach back. The reach back is kind of the most important part of the whole throw. I mean, so much is happening on the reach back. When you reach back, you got to set the angle of your disc. When you reach back, that's your last chance to make sure you have your wrist down. You know, if I reach back, I mean, you know, that's like the only chance you have. So you know, you're running up, you got your wrist down, you're there. You got your disc on the angle that it needs to be. You know, that's very important. And also, when you reach back, you know, I did a whole video on how the hips are working in with the throw, and how it torques through the whole upper body. Well, to get that upper body torque and the turn of your shoulders to give you maximum rotation, it's all in your reach back. So you're not just reaching back here, you know, I'm reaching back, I'm torquing my upper body to make tension for my speed of the release of the disc, and I'm setting the angle of the disc for the throw that I'm throwing. So when you're throwing, that's the most important things to concentrate on, is that reach back. Everything else you have to have ingrained into you. You know, you'll come into your throw, proper leg bend, you know, you're on top with your head. All that just has to be there, because when you come in and you reach back, you torque those shoulders. I mean, that's what you got to be concentrating on, is that good reach back, set your angle, and then exploding through with the turn. So anyways, just some thoughts on what kind of is the most important thing to think about when you're throwing the disc. You know, to me, it's very important to concentrate on that reach back, get everything set. Everything else is just a secondary movement. You know, I wouldn't concentrate on anything else down here. It's just too much going on. All this is from practicing. So anyways, I hope that helps decipher a little bit of, you know, what's the most important part of the whole throw, and how important it is to get that reach back correct. Anyways, this is Michael out in Maui. Aloha.